Have you ever questioned your own senses? Have you ever doubted a memory feeling sure it happened one way, only to discover it unfolded quite differently? The truth is, our minds, while incredible, are not infallible. They are susceptible to tricks, biases, and distortions, shaping our perception of reality in ways we often fail to recognize. Like an unreliable narrator in a story, our minds can lead us astray, coloring events with our preconceived notions and expectations. This isn't to say that reality is entirely subjective. There is an objective world out there, a ground truth. However, our access to that truth is filtered through the lens of our individual experiences, biases, and the very structure of our brains. We are trapped within the confines of our own perception, and sometimes that perception is flawed. Our brains, in an attempt to make sense of the constant influx of information, take shortcuts, make assumptions, and fill in gaps with what it deems most likely. These shortcuts, while often useful, can lead to errors in judgment, distorted memories, and a skewed understanding of events. But by understanding how these distortions arise, we can begin to see through the illusions, becoming more discerning observers of our own minds and the world around us. Imagine walking through a field on a summer evening. The air is sweet with the scent of honeysuckle, and fireflies blink on and off like tiny stars against the darkening sky. This is your reality, a symphony of sensory input woven together by your brain. But what if someone else were to walk beside you? Would their experience be identical? Perhaps they would smell freshly cut grass more strongly than honeysuckle, or maybe they'd be more attuned to the chirping of crickets than the blinking of fireflies. Our individual histories, preferences, and even our emotional states in a given moment can influence how we perceive the world around us. Our brains are constantly bombarded with sensory information: sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and textures. To cope with this deluge, our brains filter and prioritize, focusing on what they deem most important, while relegating the rest to the background. This process, while essential, means that we are only ever aware of a fraction of what is actually happening around us. Furthermore, our brains don't simply passively record information like a camera. They actively interpret and make sense of it, drawing on our past experiences, knowledge, and expectations. This process, known as top-down processing, can lead to perceptual illusions, where we see what we expect to see, rather than what is objectively there. If our minds are so susceptible to distortion, can we ever truly trust our own perceptions? The answer, thankfully, is not a hopeless one. While we may never be able to completely eliminate the biases and distortions inherent in our thinking, we can become more aware of them, and in doing so, become more critical consumers of information, both internal and external. The first step is acknowledging that our minds are not perfect recording devices. Our memories are not set in stone. They are malleable, subject to change and influence over time. Our perceptions, too, are not infallible, influenced as they are by context, expectation, and even our own emotional states. Once we accept the fallibility of our own minds, we can begin to question our assumptions, seek out diverse perspectives, and cultivate a healthy skepticism toward information that confirms our existing beliefs too easily. We can learn to recognize the common cognitive biases that cloud our judgment and develop strategies to mitigate their influence. This journey toward a clearer understanding of reality is an ongoing process, one that requires constant vigilance and a willingness to challenge our own deeply held beliefs. But by embracing this quest for truth, we can become more discerning thinkers, better communicators, and ultimately, more informed and engaged citizens of the world. Our brains are remarkable organs, capable of processing vast amounts of information and making lightning-fast decisions. But this efficiency comes at a price. Faced with an overwhelming deluge of sensory input and a limited capacity for conscious thought, our brains have evolved a series of mental shortcuts, known as cognitive biases, to simplify decision-making and navigate the complexities of the world. These biases, often operating beneath the surface of our awareness, allow us to quickly categorize information, make snap judgments, and arrive at conclusions without expending excessive mental energy. In many situations, these shortcuts serve us well, enabling us to react quickly to potential threats, make efficient use of our limited attention, and navigate familiar situations with ease. However, these mental shortcuts, while efficient, are not without their drawbacks. They can lead to systematic errors in judgment, skewed perceptions, and decisions that deviate from rationality. Instead of objectively evaluating information, we may unconsciously favor information that confirms our existing beliefs, overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled, or allow irrelevant details to sway our opinions. Understanding these cognitive biases is crucial to becoming more discerning thinkers. By recognizing how our brains tend to distort information, we can begin to compensate for these biases, question our assumptions, and make more rational and informed decisions. The first step in this process is to shine a light on these mental shortcuts, bringing them from the shadows of our unconscious into the forefront of our awareness. Section 2, Confirmation Bias, Seeing What We Want to See. One of the most pervasive and powerful cognitive biases is confirmation bias, our inherent tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs and hypotheses. We are drawn to information that aligns with our worldview, while information that challenges our beliefs is often met with skepticism, scrutiny, or outright dismissal. Imagine, for instance, that you believe that left-handed people are more creative than right-handed people. You might be more likely to notice and remember instances where left-handed individuals excel in creative fields, while overlooking similar achievements by right-handed individuals. You might also interpret ambiguous evidence in a way that supports your belief, seeing a left-handed artist's unique style as evidence of their creativity, while attributing a right-handed artist's similar style to other factors. This selective attention and interpretation of information creates an echo chamber of our own making, reinforcing our existing beliefs and making it difficult to consider alternative perspectives. Confirmation bias is particularly strong when it comes to emotionally charged issues, such as political affiliations, religious beliefs, or personal values. In these domains, we are often highly motivated to maintain our existing beliefs even in the face of contradictory evidence. The consequences of confirmation bias can be significant, leading to polarization, prejudice, and an unwillingness to engage in constructive dialogue. By understanding this bias, we can learn to actively seek out diverse perspectives, challenge our own assumptions, and be more open to changing our minds when presented with compelling evidence. Section 3. The availability heuristic, when vividness trumps reality. The availability heuristic makes us judge events based on how easily we recall them. Vivid, emotional, or recent events seem more probable. For example, after a shark attack news report, you might fear swimming, despite its rarity. Media exploits this bias, making rare events seem common. Seek objective data to counteract this bias. Section 4. Anchoring bias, the power of first impressions. The adage, first impressions matter, holds true in many aspects of life, and our judgments are often swayed by the anchoring bias, our tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive, the anchor, when making decisions. Once an anchor is set, we tend to interpret subsequent information in relation to that anchor, even if the anchor is irrelevant or arbitrary. For example, if you are negotiating the price of a used car, the seller's initial asking price can serve as an anchor. Even if the asking price is unrealistically high, it can influence your perception of a fair price, leading you to make a higher offer than you might have otherwise. Similarly, if you are asked to estimate the population of a city, the first number you hear, even if it is completely unrelated, can influence your guess. The anchoring bias can be difficult to overcome, as it operates largely unconsciously, influencing our judgments without our awareness. However, by being aware of this bias, we can try to be more mindful of the information we are exposed to, especially when making important decisions. We can seek out multiple sources of information, consider a wider range of options, and try to reframe problems to avoid being overly influenced by initial anchors. The way information is presented or framed can have a significant impact on our choices and judgments, even if the underlying options are objectively the same. This is known as the framing effect, where our decisions are influenced by the way choices are worded, the context in which they are presented, and the emotional connotations of the language used. For example, people are more likely to choose a treatment option described as having a 90% survival rate than one described as having a 10% mortality rate, even though the two options are statistically equivalent. The positive framing of the first option makes it more appealing, even though the outcome is the same. Similarly, people are more likely to support a policy described as saving lives than one described as costing jobs, even if the policy has both positive and negative consequences. The framing effect highlights the power of language and how it can be used to subtly influence our perceptions and decisions. By being aware of this bias, we can learn to reframe information in more neutral terms, consider multiple perspectives, and focus on the underlying substance of choices rather than being swayed by superficial framing effects. We often think of our memories as a faithful recording of the past, but memory is a dynamic, reconstructive process, susceptible to change and distortion. Each recall weaves a new tapestry, blending past fragments with current beliefs and emotions. Our brains prioritize emotionally charged details while others fade. Understanding this helps us approach memories with skepticism and seek corroborating evidence. The misinformation effect shows how misleading information can alter our memory of an event. This effect highlights the vulnerability of memory to suggestion and manipulation. A classic study showed participants a car accident video. They were asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? Others were asked with less intense verbs like hit or contacted. A week later, those asked with smashed recalled seeing broken glass. There was no broken glass in the original video. The misinformation effect impacts eyewitness testimony. Eyewitnesses are susceptible to memory distortions. Leading questions and media can alter an eyewitness's memory. Understanding this effect is crucial for the criminal justice system, from law enforcement officers to jurors. Awareness can minimize memory contamination and ensure justice. Flashbulb memories, vivid and emotionally charged, often feel accurate but can distort over time. Despite their clarity, these memories are as fallible as any other, requiring skepticism and corroboration. Memory is prone to errors. Daniel Schachter's The 7 Sins of Memory outlines these flaws. Transience, absent-mindedness, and blocking involve forgetting. Misattribution, suggestibility, and bias distort memories. Persistence involves unwanted intrusive memories, often traumatic. Our senses shape our reality, but are not infallible. Limited by biological constraints and influenced by experiences, our perceptions are active constructions. This interplay between sensation and perception can lead to distortions and illusions. Optical illusions reveal the fallibility of our visual perception. Examples like the Mueller-Lyer and Ponzo illusions show how context and expectation influence what we see. Understanding these mechanisms highlights the complexity and potential errors in visual processing. Perception is shaped by both sensory input and top-down processing. Expectations and prior knowledge influence how we interpret sensory information. This can lead to perceptual biases, making us see or hear things that aren't there. Sensory adaptation helps us focus on new stimuli, but can lead to perceptual errors. We become less sensitive to constant stimuli, like the feel of clothes or a persistent odor. This adaptation can cause issues like highway hypnosis, reducing awareness during long drives. Beyond the five senses, we have balance, proprioception, and interoception. These senses influence our movements, emotions, and well-being. Acknowledging them enriches our understanding of our bodies and surroundings. Research into sensory perception reveals astonishing capabilities, inspiring further exploration. Our perception of reality is often skewed by cognitive biases and sensory tricks. Recognizing these distortions helps us become more discerning observers. This awareness allows us to strive for a more accurate understanding of the world. Awareness of our mind's fallibility helps us navigate the world critically. We must question assumptions, seek diverse perspectives, and approach information skeptically. Critical thinking involves evaluating sources, considering biases, and seeking evidence. This mindset makes us informed citizens and effective communicators, resisting manipulation and misinformation. Section 3. Embracing curiosity and the quest for truth. The journey towards a clearer, more accurate understanding of reality is an ongoing process, one that requires constant vigilance, a willingness to challenge our own beliefs, and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. It is a journey fueled by curiosity, a desire to delve deeper, to question the status quo, and to explore the world with open eyes and an open mind. Embracing curiosity means cultivating a sense of wonder and awe towards the world around us, even in the mundane and the everyday. It means asking questions, seeking out new experiences, and engaging with ideas that challenge our existing worldview. It means acknowledging that we don't have all the answers, and that the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong endeavor. This quest for truth is not about finding a single definitive answer, but rather about developing a more nuanced, complex, and multifaceted understanding of the world and our place within it. It is about recognizing the limitations of our own perspectives and seeking out the perspectives of others, particularly those from different backgrounds, cultures, and walks of life. By embracing curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge, we can continue to grow, evolve, and refine our understanding of the world around us. We can break free from the confines of our own limited perspectives, challenge our own biases, and engage in a more meaningful and informed way with the complexities of the human experience. Section 4. The interplay of mind and reality, a lifelong exploration. The relationship between our minds and the reality we perceive is a dynamic and ever-evolving one. Our perceptions shape our understanding of the world, while our experiences in turn shape the very structure and function of our brains. This intricate interplay between mind and reality is a source of both wonder and challenge, inviting us to explore the boundaries of perception, the limits of knowledge, and the very nature of consciousness itself. As we navigate this complex landscape, it is crucial to remember that our understanding of both the mind and reality is constantly evolving. New scientific discoveries, philosophical insights, and technological advancements continue to reshape our understanding of how we perceive, think, and interact with the world around us. This journey of exploration requires both humility and a sense of adventure. We must be willing to acknowledge the limitations of our current understanding, while remaining open to new possibilities, new ways of seeing, and new ways of knowing. It is a journey that requires us to engage with diverse perspectives, to challenge our own assumptions, and to cultivate a sense of awe and wonder towards the mysteries that still lie hidden within the human mind and the universe we inhabit. By embracing this spirit of inquiry, we can continue to unravel the complexities of perception, to refine our understanding of reality, and to unlock the full potential of our extraordinary minds. Section 5. From perceptual awareness to informed action. Understanding our mind's distortions helps us make informed decisions, communicate effectively, and create a just world. Recognizing biases, we challenge injustice and promote empathy. Use perception and cognition to advocate for fairness and diversity. Be mindful of language, information, and assumptions. Embrace insights to move from awareness to action. Create a world aligned with truth, reason, and compassion. The journey begins within each of us. Strive to be discerning thinkers, effective communicators, and responsible citizens.